I want to give you an update on several major changes to the Federal Employees Retirement System, or FERS, in the coming congressional budget plan. And I'm going to go over the draft of the bill that the House Oversight and Reform Committee just published. And I'm going to go over what did not make it into the bill. And the House Republicans are looking to vote on this as early as the week of May 19th, which is only 3 weeks from today. And this video is only going to cover what's about to change for the federal employees and the retirees. And the bill says that many of these changes will be effective immediately or when President Trump signs the budget reconciliation into law. It's a lot to cover, so I'm going to make a separate video about the tax changes in the future when the Ways and Means Committee publishes the draft. So be sure to subscribe if you haven't done already. So one of the proposals that made it into the draft is to require all federal civilian employees and Postal Service employees to contribute 4.4% of their salary towards their first pension plan, regardless of their hiring date. And this is under section 90001, which says increase in FERS employee contribution requirements. So currently the contribution rate is 0.8% if you're hired before 2013 and 3.1% if you're hired in 2013. And if you were hired in and after 2014, then you're already contributing 4.4% of your gross earnings towards your pension. And section 90001 only mentions FERS employees and not anyone in the CSRS system. And the draft also doesn't show how many federal employees were hired before 2013. So if you've been a Fed before 2013, your contribution is going to increase from either 0.8% to 4.4% or 3.1% to 4.4% if Congress passes the final bill. And in section 90002, the bill is ending the Social Security annuity supplement for those who retire before age 62. The elimination of the first annuity supplement will apply to all new federal retirees. So if this bill gets passed and you do not retire by the time this bill gets signed into law by President Trump, then you will lose out on the Social Security annuity supplement. So right now, federal employees who retire before they're eligible for Social Security, which is age 62, get a supplemental first annuity payment to bridge the gap until they're eligible for Social Security. If you're already retired before this bill is enacted, then it's not going to apply to you, because if you look at line 10 of section 90002, it says the amendments made by this section shall not apply with respect to any individual entitled to an annuity supplement under Section 8421 of Title V U.S. Code prior to the date of the enactment of this act. So if Congress passes the reconciliation bill by, let's say, June 1st, and President Trump signs this bill into law on June 2nd, then the elimination of the Social Security annuity will take effect on June 2nd as soon as the president signs it. Since the bill says the date of the enactment of this act, then it's going to happen right after the president signs it. If it includes an effective date in this bill, or in the future bill, something like January 1st, 2026, then it's going to take effect on January 1st, 2026. That makes sense so far, right? And as far as what happens to those who took DRP or VERA who are looking to retire in September 2025, it does not say that you will be grandfathered for the Social Security annuity supplement, which means that you will be stripped of your entitlement to your Social Security supplement if the language of this bill remains in place. Again, this is a draft, so maybe they will add the amendment or change the effective date in the final bill. But as of right now, it does not grandfather you in. You never know if they will end up adding the effective date to the section or keep the date of the enactment of this act in the final bill. So be sure to keep track of it. But the exception to this policy is for federal employees who have to retire before they turn 62 years old. So according to the House Oversight and Reform Committee, Feds like the federal law enforcement officers, or LEOs, firefighters, and air traffic controllers, who generally have a mandatory retirement age of 57 when they complete 20 years of service, will be an exception to the policy. But again, please be sure to keep an eye on the bill until the end. And the next section, or section 90003, is changing the FERS and CSRS retirement formula from the high 3 average salary to a high 5 average salary. So this will apply to both CSRS, and FERS employees. So if you're looking to retire soon, calculating a high 5 salary will most likely decrease your pension income instead of doing a high 3 salary. Because if you look at the history of the COLA for the last 5 years, 2021 was 1%, 2022 was 2.2%, 2023 was 4.1%, 2024 was 4.7%, and 2025 was 1.7%. If they're just looking at your last 3 salary years, then you're just in those 4.1, 4.7, and 1.7% in COLA rates. But if they're looking at the last 5 years, they're going to look at your salary in 2021 and 2022. And obviously, the COLA doesn't account for your pay or step increases in the last 5 years. So depending on your pay scale, it could be a difference of thousands of dollars, if not tens of thousands, a year in pension income. So make sure to calculate the differences between those two before the reconciliation bill gets signed into law, because this section will also take effect immediately after President Trump signs into law. And the next one is to require future federal employees to elect between the current system with merit-based civil service protections or an at-will classification for higher take-home pay. Okay, so at-will means that you could be hired at the agency's or department's discretion, but you could be fired without any justification. You could have fewer legal protections than the merit-based employees. So it looks like the committee is banking on the new federal employees to choose the merit-based system to have more legal protection. And under paragraph 2B, or paragraph B, subsection 2, it reads that any individuals who make an affirmative election under subsection A1 shall be considered an at-will employee and may be subject to an adverse action to up to and include removal without notice or right to appeal by the head of the agency at which the individual is employed for good cause, bad cause, or no cause at all. This section will also take effect immediately after President Trump signs into law. And the next one, or section 90005, is to charge a filing fee for federal employees' MSPB appeals. The committee believes that charging employees filing fees would reduce frivolous appeals to the Merit Systems Protection Board, or MSPB. The filing fee is around $350 when an employee files a civil lawsuit in federal district court at the time I'm recording this video. Under line 5, it reads that the board shall establish and collect a filing fee to be paid by any employee, former employee, or applicant for employment filing a claim or appeal with the board under this title or under any other law, rule, or regulation consistent with the requirements of this subsection. And the next section, or section 90006, is to conduct a comprehensive audit of federal employees' dependents currently enrolled in the FEHB plans by requiring them to provide marriage certificates and birth certificates to recertify their eligibility. People who are not eligible to receive the FEHB coverage will be immediately disenrolled. And this is straight from HR 7868, and they're estimating a net savings of $1.5 billion. And there are 3 proposals that did not make it into the bill, and one of them is to charge the federal labor organizations for using agency resources and official time. And the next one that did not make it into the bill is increasing the federal employee buyout threshold from the existing $25,000 maximum to $40,000. And the next one that did not make it into the bill is switching the federal employees' health benefits, or FEHB, from the premium share model to a voucher model. And this is good news for the retirees too, if they're using the FEHB. And I mentioned this in the last video that the federal government right now contributes 73% of the healthcare premiums. And you still want to pay attention to the bill to see if they end up adding this to the final draft, if they want to combine the FEHB program with the Postal Service health benefits, or PSHB, and switch both of them to a voucher model. So if the healthcare premiums go up by, let's say, 5% in 2026, but the CPI index is only, let's say, 3%, then you might end up paying more out of pocket for the premium with a difference of 2%. But for right now, this is not a part of the bill. So here's the thing. In Congress, reconciliation is how lawmakers get around the infamous 60-vote filibuster hurdle in the Senate. And since Congress is going this route, they only need a simple majority, or 51 votes. And basically, it makes it way easier to fast track these changes. And I care about these changes because I've been making videos about the TSP for the last 3 years, and the majority of my audience is either veterans or federal employees. And I did 20 years in the Air Force, and the VA is something that I rely on. And the vast majority of my veteran community also relies on the VA for their disabilities. And what worries me and my veteran community is how this is going to become a retention or even a hiring problem for the VA in the future. Not to mention the other departments and agencies that keep the government running, right? And if you've been following me for a while, I always keep my political opinions to myself so that the news I deliver to you can be completely unbiased. But anyway, I'll keep you guys posted about the bill. And because these are the most significant changes since 2014. But right now, since they're looking to cut $50 billion in spending for the next 10 years just in the federal workforce, there's a good chance that these will all pass. And I'm sure there will be tense arguments back and forth about the bill between the two parties. And I would also like to hear your thoughts and concerns on the proposed changes in the comment section down below. In the meantime, don't forget to get your free financial resources by visiting firesacha.com/resources, or you can schedule a consultation with me by visiting firesacha.com/consultation.